Hello and welcome to News Kids Can Use, the show about all the weird, wacky, and straight up strange stuff that has been making your grown-ups freak out about the news lately. I'm Emin Rogers.
And I'm Tori Ogawa, and today we're skipping some of our other segments to talk with a special guest about how kids can get involved with the issues that they care about. In New York, a woman realized that her apartment always felt a little cold, so she went to go look around in her bathroom where she felt a weird breeze. And when she took off the mirror, she realized that there was a hole leading to a whole nother room. And so she decided to go investigate, and she brought a hammer with her and a flashlight just in case. And she found that there was a whole nother apartment on the other side of that mirror. Luckily, there was no one there and the door was locked. She notified her apartment and they're going to investigate on what happened and why it's there.
Now, everyone's talking about Dr. Seuss, another thing everyone's going wild about, because Dr. Seuss Enterprises, which publishes his books and is funded by his family, decided to stop publishing 6 books recently and coinciding with his birthday because they have racist imagery in them. This was a decision by the company. Nobody else really did anything about it, but it did put libraries in an interesting position of trying to decide what to do with those books now that the publishing company that actually publishes them has decided they're not worth publishing anymore.
Last week, Hawaii experienced some torrential rain, which caused to a lot of flooding and flash flooding, like a river that went from 4 feet to 16 feet in a matter of hours. So the governor declared a state of emergency, and a lot of people actually had to evacuate their homes and businesses. This week, they're trying to work on some major cleanup, getting a lot of the debris and mud out of the way so that they can move back into their homes and back into their businesses.
In the beginning of March, we had a funny/scary incident with SpaceX's most recent prototype for a Starship called Starship SN10. And it was fun and cool because it did go up without a pilot and then did a cool flippy thing and then came back down and landed carefully. But then it did explode. Still, scientists say that this is a pretty big step forward, being able to have it go up and land itself, and so they will probably be moving to the next phase of testing.
Hey there, are you looking for something a little bit different to spice up your reading life? Well, I've got a treat for you. Have you heard of manga? Manga is Japanese-style comic books. And they even read backwards from right to left, which is really cool because it makes you have to think a little bit. But we've got Slice of Life, which is like a look into daily life. We've got Pokemon. We've got books about pets. We've got action and adventure and even fantasy. So check out all the cool manga at Kitsap Regional Library. It's one of my favorite types of books to read. Welcome back. Today we have a special teen guest who is a member of a Kitsap group who focuses on immigrant rights and equality.
And it's important that we talk about this now because in recent weeks with the lifting of restrictions at the border, lots more people have been trying to cross the border, and often they are kids and often they are alone. And they're fleeing from really dangerous situations and have been waiting at the border for a long time now. So with so many kids crossing, our old problems became our new problems, and we have nowhere to put them except detention centers, which were not made to hold kids and which are not good for kids to stay in for very long at all. So it's important that we talk about these issues and figure out what can be done.
Well, thanks for being on our show today. Could you introduce yourself? What's your name, age, pronouns, and what did you want to be when you grew up when you were 5 years old?
So, hi, my name is Meredith Pasquale. I'm 17 years old. I use she, her pronouns. And when I was younger, I wanted to become a journalist. So I wanted to write. I wanted to be part of the news.
Can you tell us a little bit about what KAIRE, K-A-I-R-E, does?
So KAIRE stands for Kitsap Advocating for Immigrant Rights and Equality. And the basis of our organization is to help provide support and a safe, welcoming space for immigrants and marginalized communities who do not have the resources that other people may have.
Yeah, it's really hard to come into a new place. You don't know what there is to know.
How old were you when you first got involved with KAIRE, and what made you choose to get involved?
So I actually am fairly new to KAIRE, but I've done a bunch of different things with them. My parents, my dad and his family are immigrants actually, so from Mexico. I've always heard a lot of stories of their struggles and what they had to endure when coming to America firsthand. So For me, it was like knowing that KAIRE was a part of our community was a way that I could help make a difference and prevent discrimination from happening again, prevent policies from being passed that are damaging to the immigrant community. And in turn, that was also like me showing my appreciation for my grandparents and what they had to sacrifice for me to be here.
That's an incredibly powerful story, especially that, it's your own personal story and that it means so much to you, and that's really cool that you've gotten involved.
And I love that you're extending a hand back to people who were in your grandparents' situation. What is the most important thing kids should know about immigration and immigrant rights?
In terms of immigrant rights, the best thing that we can do when you're young is to stay knowledgeable, to stay educated, and understanding that you have power in some ways that some other people do not. And when you're at a young age, society, has grown into this thing where we constantly see people as lower than us depending on what they may look like, what they identify as. So growing up in this kind of society, I think it's extremely important to be open-minded, and kind and caring to others, while also using your voice to advocate for those who do not have a voice.
If younger kids are interested in getting involved with immigration and immigrant rights especially, what would you recommend they do?
When you're younger, there's not always a lot of organizations that are tailored to much younger kids, but I think the biggest thing is talking with your parents, asking questions, and discussing how can I, or what does this mean, or talk to someone that you trust, that you can have a safe space talking with. But for people who are kids who are my age or fairly younger, I think definitely looking for resources, different groups like KAIRE in your community that you can help make a difference.
Well, thank you, Meredith, for being here. It was so great to have you on our show today to talk about KAIRE and immigrant rights, and I hope people join KAIRE. Do you have any last words you want to say?
Well, thank you first for having me, but just spread love and positivity, I guess, is the biggest thing for me, and stay kind to everyone. So.
Thanks for watching News Kids Can Use, a show about all the weird, jaw-dropping, and strange things that have been making your grown-ups freak out lately. We hope that you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm Tori Ogawa.
I'm Emin Rogers, and if you find an apartment behind your apartment, please rent it to me for all of my dogs.